Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. Fun show here today as we are going to look at what rookies could have the biggest impact for the Dolphins during the 2024 season. And this is, I want to put a disclaimer, specific to 2024 because there are some players on this list that could have a bigger impact 2 or 3 years down the line. But we're looking about who can help this team this season win the most. I also think it's a good time to refresh you guys and on who the Dolphins drafted and where they drafted them. The first pick of the Dolphins draft was at 21, where they took Chop Robinson, the edge from Penn State. Then they followed up with Patrick Paul in the second round. Then they traded a future third-round pick in 25 to get a fourth-rounder in 24 so they could take Jaylen Wright, the running back. Then they went Mohamed Kamara in round 5, Malik Washington in round 6, Patrick McMorris in round 6, and then the last pick they made during the 24 NFL draft, Taj Washington, the wide receiver out of USC. And before I give my official rankings, I want to support the rookies of the Miami Dolphins. Hit that like button to show the Dolphins rookies some love. Let's get 500 likes on today's video. And the reason why I want to show love to the rookies is, well, they might be bored in between now and training camp. So they're probably going to be looking on YouTube about the Dolphins and themselves. And if they stumble across this video, I want them to know the Dolphins fans have their back and are supporting them. So hit that thumbs up button. All right, number 1 on my rookies ranking list is going to be Chop Robinson. They drafted in the first round, and I think you could say that most teams' first-round pick is the most likely to have the biggest impact on the 2024 team on their respective squads. But I do think there is a pathway for him to be a big-time rotation player on this Dolphins defense. And I do want to clear this up, by the way, because I'm not shying away from this, but if you scroll back on the channel from about 5-6 weeks ago, whenever the draft actually was in late April, I was not that high on the selection at the time. I think I graded out at a C+ when they made the pick at 21. There's a lot of different factors for that. I personally wanted the Dolphins to draft Graham Barton, the interior offensive lineman from Duke, to try to replace that hole at right guard the Dolphins still have. But regardless of that, and regardless of the past, I am still very excited for Chop Robinson, and I believe he will contribute to this Dolphins roster from day one. His speed, his quickness, his first step off the line of scrimmage is otherworldly, and there is going to be a legit way for him to have a massive role. Like, you look at this Dolphins edge group. You have 2 studs of Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. You have a good veteran who has been one of the best edge rushers in the past 6 years in Shaq Barrett. And then the 2 rookies in Chop Robinson and Mohamed Kamara. And the reason why Chop could have such a large role on this team is because there are so much uncertainty in the health of Bradley Chubbs and Jalen Phillips. Both of them are recovering some massive injuries. Jalen Phillips is coming off a torn Achilles just around Thanksgiving on Black Friday against the New York Jets. Like, I do believe Phillips could be ready for week 1, but I'm not sold on the 2 of them being 100% ready to go for week 1 against the Jaguars. So Chop Robinson is going to have to be called upon. He's got a lot of talent. We, on our live show, had a mention from Frank O'Connor, about his hand placement. He's already talked about how he feels like he's 100% improved his hand placement in this offseason thus far. Still 6-7 weeks to go until the regular season gets underway. And Chop Robinson, he's got a lot of work to do, but I think he will have the largest impact on the team in 24. Number 2 is going to be Jaylen Wright, to me, the running back that they drafted out of Tennessee. He was the 3rd overall selection the Dolphins made in late April, and I do expect big things from Jaylen Wright. Whenever you trade a future 3rd-round pick to get a current 4th-round pick, that just signifies the value that the Dolphins front office and Mike McDaniel had on Jaylen Wright. He currently slots in as the RB3 on this team, and that's not really like knocking him either, because just you have Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, who are one of the best 1-2 punches in the entire NFL in terms of running backs. But you add Jaylen Wright into this room, who has had a lot of good history at Tennessee in pass protection, as well as out of the backfield in the passing game. Like, he is going to provide a lot for this Dolphins running back room, which will be a committee. Like, I'm not going to try to hide from this fact. It's not going to be a 49ers backfield where it's Christian McCaffrey for 85% of the time and you get the other guys coming in spots. No, this will be a true committee where I think Raheem Mostert gets maybe 50 or 45% of the work. Then you get 30% from, or 35% from Devon Achane and 20% from Jaylen Wright, or the numbers can change, but the point remains still that these three aren't going to go out on their own and isolate on the running back room. They will work together, they will complement each other well, and I do expect Jaylen Wright to see significant snaps in this Miami Dolphins offense. Still got some other Dolphins rookies to talk about, but let me know which rookie you think will have the biggest impact in 2024. Talking specifically this season, not anything long-term. Let me know which rookie will have the biggest impact this upcoming season. Number 3, I am going to go with Malik Washington. Yeah, the 6th-round wide receiver out of Virginia. I just am so bullish on Malik Washington, man. I think this kid's going to be an absolute stud. He just has too much talent. He did so much at Virginia, was one of the most productive wide receivers in all of college football. I mean, are you kidding me? A slot receiver from Virginia who also isn't the best passing game in college and didn't have the best quarterback, putting up 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, and over 111 receptions. Washington also was a second-team AP All-American, set a record for receptions in a season in the ACC. He was dominant at the collegiate level. And yes, I think he's going to be wide receiver 4 for the Dolphins, but if an injury breaks out to one of Hill, OBJ, or Waddle, I have confidence in Malik Washington filling in as wide receiver 3. He is also specifically a slot guy, and at 5'9", I think he can really help the Dolphins in some formations where maybe they need to give a breather to someone else, and they want to have Hill and Waddle on the outside, but Malik on the inside running slot routes against a linebacker, safety, or a nickelback. I think Malik Washington is going to have a role on this team. I'm very excited for his potential year 1 production, and I think he's going to be great for Miami. All right, we are in a June sub-battle, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We currently are in second out of this 3-team race here with Steelers Talk and the Chiefs Report. We're beating the Chiefs by about 40, which is nice, but still trail Steelers by damn near 50 subscribers. So hit that sub button. You'll get informative content surrounding the Fins every single day. I'm a competitive guy. If you like the Dolphins, you probably are too. Help us out and beat the Chiefs and Steelers. Number 4, it's actually going to be Mohamed Kamara, the edge rusher out of Colorado State, who the Dolphins selected in the 5th round. I absolutely love Mohamed Kamara. I thought he was going to go in the top 100. That was just a personal take. Others maybe thought differently, but I did think there was a chance he was going to be taken in the first 3 rounds and in the top 100. I know the Dolphins fans were a little bit skeptical of the pick when it happened live because a lot of people wanted an offensive lineman, and they didn't understand taking another edge rusher when you already took Chop Robinson in the 1st round. But he provides depth, and we've already talked about how you are uncertain of where the depth and health of this edge room will be day 1. So Kamara gives you depth. He also has a dog mentality. He is physical, high motor, not gifted that much in terms of size and athleticism, but just fights tooth and nail for everything he has, and he is going to have a fire burning inside of him to try to prove everybody wrong on why he was taken 184th. I think he's going to provide some nice things and spots for the Dolphins in 2024. Number 5 is going to be Patrick Paul. That's my guy. Yeah, I like Paul, who was the 2nd-round pick for the Dolphins, 55th overall. And this is not Patrick Paul slander to have him ranked 5th out of 7 in terms of the rookies drafted. I love Patrick Paul. I actually think I graded it the 2nd highest or 3rd highest pick out of Miami when the draft was around. But this is a long-term play for Paul in the Miami Dolphins. There just isn't a pathway for him to play this season regardless of it, unless there's an injury. Obviously, you're going to hope and pray that Teron Armstead plays 17 games. Now, is that going to be the case? Unlikely. You're also going to hope the same thing for Austin Jackson. Is that likely? That's also unlikely. It's hard to play 17 games as an offensive lineman. So Paul's playing time in 2024 is going to be very limited because he can't kick inside to play guard. And as long as you're keeping Austin Jackson at right tackle and not moving him inside, then there's just no way for Paul to play. And the reason why I have him ranked 5th is because it's a long-term answer. And if you want my honest belief on Paul, I actually think he has the highest ceiling out of any of the rookies Miami drafted. If I had to rank and do a different video of who is going to have the best career for the Miami Dolphins from this draft class, I think I would have Patrick Paul number 1. I'm not shitting you because his long-term growth is so pivotal. He gets to learn behind Teron Armstead for a year, and then he could slot right in, assuming this is Armstead's last year with the Dolphins, to be the left tackle of the future. That sounds pretty good to me. Like, I also think this guy has all-pro potential. 6'7", good size. He just improves his technique, hand placement, footwork. He is going to be a dude in the NFL. And another reason why I like Paul, he went from the AAC in Houston to the Big 12 in his final year. His numbers actually jumped up. He plays well in higher competition. Are you with me? Do you believe in Patrick Paul long-term for the Miami Dolphins? I certainly do. I think he's going to be a stud. Type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, to close out this video, I'll mention the last 2 selections the Dolphins did have. Taj Washington, who they picked in the 7th round. I have him slated just a little bit ahead of Patrick McMorris, who they drafted in the 6th round out of Cal. The reason why these 2 are a little bit lower, and I'm not going to spend that much time talking about them, I actually probably would predict that these 2 start on the practice squad for the Dolphins unless they have unbelievable training camps. Just think of the Dolphins safety room. Like, I don't think they keep more than 4 guys. They have Poyer, they have Holland, they signed Marcus May, they have Elijah Campbell. Like, McMorris is probably going to start on the practice squad unless he has an unbelievably good training camp. Taj Washington, I like him. High upside guy out of USC in the 7th round. I just don't really see a way he impacts this 2024 roster unless there's a crap ton of injuries, which we hope that doesn't happen. Also, someone I expect to start in the practice squad when you have a top 4 of Malik Washington, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, OBJ, and then Braxton Berrios at 5. That 6th spot will be battled out between River Craycraft and Eric Ezukama and Washington. So Washington might lose that and end up on the practice squad for Miami, which means he's probably not going to make an impact for this 2024 team. That will do it for today's video. If you think I'm wrong or just want to ask me more questions on the Miami Dolphins, you can hit me up over on Twitter. My DMs are open. Follow me at Nic_Rohloff, talking Fins on the daily basis. So go give me a follow.